Welcome, Great Awakening. Today, Mary Beaver's podcast on Telegram, we discuss her going to court to continue the process of getting her K account or her Strawman account, whichever you want to call it. We did talk about that in the past. This is one of her writings about why to continue doing your book of life. So this is the experience of her going into Baal's court. That's right, Baal. This person. All right. It's an hour interview at the moment. I will cut up the other stuff later, but this is the most important part of this video. If you have any questions, put in the comments and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
And Russi's in. Yay!
Welcome, people. All right, let me go. And I was prepping for myself where I'm like, I need water. I need my computer. I need my notebook. I was all like, what the? Okay, because I'm very excited today. Very excited.
Yeah. I got my computer too, and I added some dark chocolate for some energy.
I added 2 candles and some water.
Nice.
Oh, and I have my little zapper here. If anything tries to come near me, I can zap it. Well, I'll say April 30th. I put in a notice to the Inspector General's office to investigate the Chancery individual, Maria Salas, since, they're a public figure. She kept refusing my court documents to open the final court case for the Strawman, or as other people know it as the Sesticue, other personal property that I put in mine. I'm at like the last step. So Shannon had gone down, I think, was it February, Shannon, or March?
It was January or February, one of those two.
Yeah. And that was a 3-hour ordeal of them like tearing apart the documents, freaking out. I mean, just gatekeeping left and right. And I was on the phone listening to most of it, all of it. And it was a petty party, pretty much. And then we tried, she said that she couldn't file that. And so Shannon said, oh, so you're refusing the document. She's like, we're not refusing it. She just has to change things because she can't have that and she can't have that. And she can't do this and she can't do that. I was like, well, we'll just put in an incident report and mail it in to the chancellor of the court. Well, she infiltrated it because, all the mail goes to the clerks. And she sent back a letter to Shannon and then sent the document. She sent it back in a huge box, which I didn't open. I took pictures of it. I left it unopened because I didn't want it coming back if she had sabotaged it or torn up papers or, did anything to it. I didn't want the responsibility of that. The other efforts that we had tried to do just kind of went on the wayside. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait until the heavens say go. So they said go last week. I flew out earlier this week. As I got off the plane, my bag was my carry, not my carry-on, the one that you check in was vibrating. It was on a Sunday, and Metro only had security guards for the police department. So they had to actually dispatch 2 officers to come over. So they all felt the box, and we were all talking about it, and we didn't know to categorize it as a bomb or not a bomb or a possible threat. And I was like, I just want my documents out of there, because those are the originals. I need to get them filed. Shannon and Lisa, you guys can jump in any time because you guys' parts were funny too. So we're standing there, and the one guy, he's trying to get a picture of the names on the box. And I was like, you know what? I was like, let me take my clothes off the box. I just had them on there just in case it was a small bomb. So I moved my clothes off of the box, and I saw my electric toothbrush had turned on and was vibrating on top of the box. So everybody had like this huge sigh of relief. We all started laughing, and I was like, well, it could have been worse. Why I thought there would be a bomb in there. And I was like, well, okay, are you ready for this? Because it sounds funny, but it's real. I'm an heiress, an oil heiress, and I'm taking on the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and other world leaders. And one guy was like, whoa, wait, what? He was like, them big dudes. And I was like, not really. I was like, maybe the older guys that are, popping off like, it's going out of style to die now. But they're not really that big anymore. I was like, they're only big because they have the money and the power. I was like, these younger guys don't know what to do. And so I was explaining, and the one guy was like, hold on, wait a minute. He's like, I just have one question for you. And I was like, yeah. He's like, if you win, are you going to lower the gas prices? Well, of course. I was like, this belongs to everybody. It's not just mine. And he's like, okay, well then go ahead, continue.
And then we had the guy that was hanging on the shin, and he was shaking in his boots. He was trying to write down everything Mary was saying. It was hilarious. He would write down something. He would look at Shannon. He said, "Is this right?" Shannon would say, "Yeah." He would continue writing. He was not letting go of Shannon. He was going to make sure he got everything on paper.
So just imagine Mary is holding court in the police station parking lot, and she's got 4 cops listening to every word. She's showing them her pre-patents. You know, they've already fingered her underwear, so we're all on first name basis at this point. So it was just so hilarious, and it was just so hit the ground running. Literally, Mary, like, get off the airplane, and then here we go.
On there. So they saw who everybody was. And so I pointed out who the companies were. And I was like, oh, these are the Rockefellers. These are the Rothschilds. These are the elites. You know, these are all these guys. This is the military. This is that. This is da 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 da. And they were like, the fuck? and then, yeah, I showed them the pre-patent of the spacecraft. I had that with me. And so it's not like I was just talking out my ass. Like, I had everything with me. And I feel like I was pulled to do all that for some reason because, you know, the sheriff's department and law enforcement is like, you know, the women's hair salon. Everybody's going to talk. So, but the thing is now they've seen the evidence and they know it's a real case.
Yeah, and the one cop, he took pictures of your documents.
You know, we were doing getting our documents ready for the next day because we had to go to Internal Revenue, we had to go to Chancery, and then I had to go to the Chancery Court to open my case because we had Marlene's documents and we had a few other people's 3949s and 211s that needed to be filed. And so we were working on that all night. And so the next morning we got up and we went to Internal Revenue first. And we're all trying to go through this huge scanner, and we're standing there, you know, and Lisa and I, and then Lisa's like, "Wait, where's Shannon's documents?" And I was like, "Well, they're right here." And she's like, "No, those aren't Shannon's documents. Where's Shannon's documents?" So we're all looking around. Well, Shannon and another gal's documents got stuck in the conveyor belt, and it shut it down, like it broke it. But we had the name of God on one of those documents. And God was like, I don't like this security system. So it shut it down. And we went back on the following Wednesday, and it was still broken.
Yeah, they referred to us as the group that's the group that broke the scanner because they were having to divert everybody. That was the main door, and they're having to divert everybody to a side office or a side entrance for the scanner because they're not going to check everybody's everything coming through that door. So we broke it.
And then this time, in 2024, Shannon had come with me to the Internal Revenue, and it was crazy and it was intense. CID had come in, but they didn't say anything to me. They left. But this time we came in, we got another gal, and it was pretty peaceful. But you know, the guy that had me last time, he's like, I don't know that girl. He was like, wanted nothing to do with me. He's like, nope. He probably got interrogated somewhere in the background for turning in my documents. So another gal helped us and gave us like a lot of good advice and on how these are supposed to be prepared and sent in, and so she was very helpful. So we found out that some of the documents weren't correct, or they were correct but they weren't being entered correctly on so that they could process them. So we were there for a little bit, and then after we got done with that, we went to Chancery Court. That gal Maria Sala, she had come up and she could not look me in the face, and she looked at my documents and she's like, yeah, and she started to say that these couldn't be, and I was like, no, they can be filed. and so she started going through it, pulling stuff out, and I was like, and her and I were going kind of back and forth, but not in an aggressive manner. But she wouldn't once look up at me. She kept looking at my documents, looking at everybody else but me. The room was very tense. This one guy kept eyes on me at all times. I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but we finally got him in because she was like, "Do you have the money? This is all going to cost us much." And I'm like, "Great, let's pay for it. I have the money." And I was like, I need some of that evidence in there. And then she's like, "Well, where's the judgment? Where's the judgment? I don't have the judgment." So we were looking for the judgment, and she was trying to pull all the papers. I'm like, "Maria, that stack has been reorganized in the order of operation that it should be. You need to stop moving that around." I was like, "It is in addendum 11, which should be this packet right here if you haven't already shuffled it like cards through the rest of the deck." So we went through each page, and she was trying to pass the judgment that I had. So, but finally got it. She saw the judgment, or the final judgment, the summary judgment, and the citation was supposed to be behind the summary, but I forgot I put it at the end. No, that
Remember?
was the first day. The second,
Oh, the
when
first
we
one.
went on Wednesday, the other gal, yeah, that's when we noticed that she had removed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Maria tried to. She's like, "Oh, well, I'll just put this in evidence." And I'm like, "Well, it goes behind the other." No, no, it's all evidence. It goes here. I'm like, "Okay." So as long as I get a case number, that's fine. And so she's like, "Come back tomorrow." And I was like, "Well, I can't come back tomorrow, but I can come back Wednesday." She's like, "That's fine. Whenever you come in, that's fine." She's like, "We'll have the summons ready for you," but she wasn't gonna have anything else ready. So Wednesday, we had to drive all the way back down to Nashville because we had left. We thought it was going to be a one-stop shop, but we had to correct some of the other stuff, and we didn't want to spend too much time in a hotel. And just to get copies over there is like $1.58, was it, for one page?
$1.89 at FedEx Print for one color copy, one
Right.
page. Yes, per page, $1.89.
Go back to Internal Revenue, go back to Chancery, and then when we went back to Chancery Court to pick up the summons, Maria wasn't there. So, and the room wasn't as tense. Everybody was more relaxed. The gal had given me the summons, and I told her, I was like, "Hey," I was like, I might have a problem." And she's like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Well, Maria had taken so many documents out. I was like, I don't know what she took out and from where. And so if I take these, and I was all, my packet doesn't match your packet. So if you guys could make a copy for me, that'd be great." And she's like, "Oh, well, we charge 50 cents a page." And I'm like, "That's fine." I was like, "I just need it to match. If not, I'm just going to send it with the copy I have," because I don't know what she yanked out. As we got the copies, Shannon and I were going to look through it and make sure, because I actually just wanted to see what was stamped and what she did take out and what she was trying to remove from my packet. This other clerk looked at me and she's like, "Oh, are you the one that came in the other day and filed the judgment transfer scam?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "Oh yeah, lots of people try to file foreign judgment scams." And I was like, "Look, I know you guys don't think that." I was like, "I don't." What did I say? "Do you guys honestly think I woke up one day and decided to write some crazy documents and just try to file them?" I was like, "No, I was approached by government and worldly officials, and the military." And I was like, "And I'm a little done with this." I was like, "You can do what you want, but that's my story. This isn't a scam. I have the judgment." And that's when Shannon and I looked at each other and were like, "We should probably check and see what, the packet." So I found the evidence for the judgment in there, but I didn't see the request for the transfer. So I asked the gal, she's the record keeper, that I was missing some documents, and she was like, "Which one?" And so I read the title. She's like, "Oh, no, 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 those are in the judge's box to be read." And I was like, "Well, it's missing the judgment itself." And she's like, "Wait, what?" So she grabbed the documents that were there for the judge, and we went through them, and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "The judgment's in here." I was like, "It's not complete." I was like, "Maria put the judgment in evidence." I was like, "And it's not part of the evidence, it's part of that." So she pulled it out, her copy out, had me write what it was. And so we wrote, where the judgment was, what page number, the summary judgment, and the citation, and the page numbers where the judge can find them. So Maria was trying to make it look like I was filing a false judgment, so that way the judge would deny it. So there's a whole lot of interference going on with my documents, but I feel like the heavens make sure that I'm on track by, having other people say something that triggers a thought, like, I should probably check that before we walk out of here.
I'm going to question
So,
one
but
more thing here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but this Maria Sala, where exactly? I mean, I know you said master clerk, but what is her background to be interfering in this so much, out of curiosity?
Well, they're not supposed to, and that was the complaint. I put in all the clerks' laws, rules, and regulations according to their own books, and she's like, no, I say what goes and what doesn't. But yeah, she's a gatekeeper.
Yeah, tell them the animals on top of the building.
Okay, so this building is very old, very pre-Tartaria too. It has the saints or angels on the door. These huge doors, you can totally tell they're giant doors. Um, and then they've added, because I saw an original photo, and they've added the Egyptians onto each of the walls on the outside as well. And on the sides, because we can see the sides from the recorder clerk's office, and there's two snakes, two lion heads, and then the other one we couldn't quite tell. And Lisa took a picture, or zoomed in on it and took a picture, and we were looking at it, and they were like, well, I don't know. It looks like it's a bull. And when I looked, I was like, oh, that's Bale. I was like, he's in his spiritual dressing. So yeah, they have two heads of Bale on it as well. So I am literally in Bale's court. That is why it had to be there. Because I am taking on the god of this world. And there's like a place it goes underground too, because they have this opening with that shows, it's really deep. The pictures that Shannon took before don't give it justice. And you can see that they've used it a lot, and there's even a parking garage on the other side, and that's lined red and white. Red and blue, sorry, which is the color of the two Jesuses. And then we saw that too everywhere. Like at the hotel, there was a red Jesus and a blue Jesus with the planes and a couple other symbolic things. And then we went somewhere else that had the red Jesus, and I was like, what the heck?
Plain sight. That's funny. So I'm gonna. Do you care if I put some pictures in here, like the ones of you in front of the courthouse with your documents?
Well, I had sent them to Russi, so when she makes the video, she can put them up on the video.
Yes, that's what I want, the buildings, because I have that right here going, the red Jesus, the blue Jesus, but the lions, snakes, and the underworld, yeah.
That everybody knows. Sometimes when I have to do this stuff, I don't normally tell everybody when I'm going or when I'm going to be back or stuff like that. I do kind of go dark because, again, I'm going up against the most scariest people in the world, and they do have hired guns that can and will come after me. So if at any chance anybody gets wind of me doing stuff like this, try not to get excited or too excited to tell a lot of people. Not that I don't trust other people, but when you get excited about stuff like this, we want to tell other people, and those people want to tell other people, and then they want to tell other people, and that's kind of how it gets around, and then my life gets in danger. I did not take my kids with me this time. So normally I would be a little more hush-hush and discreet, because I can take off and I can fight. But if I have to protect my kids and myself at the same time, it's a whole different story. So I did go alone this time. But I didn't also want to put anybody else in danger that, was with me at the time. So just a little disclosure on that. And I'm not always going to tell people when I do it. Now, the one that is coming up, when the court actually does move forward and I get the date, everybody's going to know, because as many people can come would be great, because that's where the other girls died, was the day before their first court date. So I don't know when that'll be. Federal has 60 days to reply once they're served what date it will be, but I will announce it openly. So if anybody that wants to show up can, not just for my protection, but for, the changing of the whole thing, the whole system, back to, the real sovereigns, not the fake system.
Okay, I think I've got them all sent. And even when I went back to, I looked at the date, and it was January 15th when I went the first time. And I went back and I got some really good pictures of that, where it shows the three kings in the front and some there in the lobby. And how even like all the signs have gold on them. So.
Oh, yeah.
So they're in the chat if anybody wants to look at them.
Could you
What?
repeat that? What'd you say about the tarot cards? It got broke up.
When we went through the machine the first day at the IRS and we broke their scanner, at first they were like, oh, it's the tarot cards. They're like, because they're like that one guard, like, wouldn't your grandma say that's like, I don't remember the word he used, and I was like, oh, okay, is that what it was? So, yeah. Because, I mean, it's hard for them to admit that it's actually documents that broke their machine.
Because
Yeah.
usually when I travel with mine, they always think it's something inside of it, and I always get called out, and then they go through my bag, and it's usually that. So now I keep them out, which I think is interesting. But yeah, just wanted to know if you got the same stuff. But okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt a little bit. These pictures are exactly how all these buildings are built in New York City, like the Empire State Building. I mean, it's Art Deco, but they're all kind of with the same figures. But these look a little different because they're the same looking ones that they have over here in the Hoover Dam, which I'm going to go visit next week, just to final off my visions on that one. But yeah, they're pretty wild. I mean, there's so many symbols in here. It's kind of crazy. Oh my gosh. Very
Right.
nice pictures.
I know, and it makes you think, like, and we saw a couple of angel statues everywhere, and what were the names of the streets? We were on like Ascension Street and stuff like that, and I don't
It
remember all
was
the names.
it was a Sand Federal Credit Union, and then we had like Royal Parkway that we ended up staying on.
So yeah, the GPS was malfunctioning the whole time, but
Oh
we
my
had to see
gosh,
things.
yes. Majorly malfunctioning.
I find interesting though in the courthouse that I'm looking at this one, it says courthouse and city hall. They have the door blackened out. Usually those doors would be in gold.
Oh, maybe they did black them out. So I can
They
see people
definitely,
trying to chip away at those.
yeah, they definitely blackened them out because, I studied all these buildings before in the past, and that big door is a huge, like, red flag to show you what kind of place it really is.
Yeah, you can see the size of the normal doors next to it in that one picture to show you the kind of size of those doors. Because we walked in, that was the main entrance to the right of the doors, like under the middle king. The left king is where that giant door was.
I'm like, because they usually have that, these buildings are like the same buildings like the Mormons, churches. They're a bit like that with the golden door. The Hoover Dam has all these golden doors too to enter into their like sections. And then if you look into history, there's so many of these doors, but this is an interesting one that they blackened out. And you could just tell they blackened out top parts of it too on that courthouse and city hall.
And that last thing that I added, that's the video. That is the two openings in front of the fountains down a lower level that goes down, I don't know how many feet. Would you say 30 to 50, 60 feet?
Yeah, it might even be 100 feet.
It went far.
And you saw a door. And you saw a door
a
down there.
door with water running over it. Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
gated door. I'm like, that's where they do their rituals.
There's you actually have another picture of erected at 1803?
Yeah.
And then it said burned Sunday morning, April 13th, 1856 between 2 and 3 o'clock. You know how specific they are is to reborn that thing on the 13th? There's a big trauma in history on that. Let me go look right now. Apollo 13. Disasters. Most famously in 1970 when an oxygen tank exploded on Apollo 13, crippling the spacecraft 200,000 miles from Earth. So they always keep those dates. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things on the 13th. Oklahoma State Hospital goes on fire. I always check the dates, but they specifically tell you that they burnt it on purpose at those times.
Yeah,
Right.
if you actually add the date up, it equals out to 1, which is a new beginning. So, yeah, that's exactly what they did. If you do 413, that 18, whatever, 65, yeah, it comes out to 1. I do numbers too, Russi.
That's so wild. It's so nauseating to see it's in front of our faces.
I'm just glad we finally see it.
Absolutely. So, but that's all I had for that. And again, I don't know how long it'll take. I have the summons. I'm just waiting for the foreign judgment transfer to be approved or denied, and I guess go from there. But my Strawman is in, or my Sesticue, so we'll see what happens. So, does anybody have any questions while we're here?
What's the address to this place?
300 Dedrick Street, Nashville. It's 111 miles from me. So there you go.
I don't know. I'm just seeing a picture in my head over the Michigan train station. So I'm just hearing in my head. I want to know the address to that.
I'm going to put it in here for you, too, Russi. I just took a screenshot. Yeah, the IRS was 801 Broadway. It says it's 111 miles from me as well. Well, that's weird.
So here's my question. Since you said that this is going to be a 60-day process, which puts us into the second week of July. So does that mean you're going to have to go back there to do the next section of this process, correct?
I do. The day that they assign the actual first court hearing, yes, I physically have to be there.
Okay, so that's the one that you would say people are welcome to come and join.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, I'm just trying to put it out there for people to keep that in their minds. So
yeah,
that'll be very cool. I mean, what's happening right now, they're changing all these buildings, like the Roman Empire over in Washington. So I got a little thought process on the water. I have a whole water thing that I downloaded in my head this morning.
They're getting ready to reset everything. So yeah, they're changing everything. And as the old people, start dying out that had the memory of what it used to be, and the young people who can be brainwashed. Oh, that's a vulture, actually. We don't normally have vultures out here. That's crazy. I'll have to look that up later, what it means when you see a vulture.
So It says it's the vulture spiritually symbolizes transformation, purification, and the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of like the death and rebirth card. Isn't that number 13?
My question was actually, were you guys at Nashville when you did all those papers, or was that Washington? Because I remember I told you, like, the first one got lost or taken by the post, and I was like, well, I could hand deliver it. I'm in Washington, very familiar with Washington, and I was there last week for a funeral, and it was there's so much stuff going on. Some people think is that they were changing the sigils, because you know how all the sigils are where people drive and walk every day, that they were actually like, cover story. I don't know, but there's a lot going on there, a lot going on. And that's also the Washita, the Indians that say they've never left there. And I think they're one of the oldest, like Washington, and it's kind of crazy. But the Union Station where I was at, another Tartarian building, but there's like pre-Tartarian, or were that the mound builders? And sometimes I just get confused who were, the colonizers versus, the invaders and all the royalties and etc. But the buildings are incredible.
We were in Nashville. We have Tartaria buildings out here. We have the old Druidic buildings. Tartaria was just an era. I mean, there's different eras. The eras of Rome, the eras of Tartaria, the eras of the elf. The buildings just symbolize the different eras.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to these buildings. That whole Nashville area, it almost looks like New York City, how they have the Coliseum next to another,
Well, Russi, you need to look. They have the Parthenon in Nashville. Look that up.
I don't need to go to another country. I need to go here.
Exactly. Yeah. You can come stay with me and drive over 2 hours. I'm going through my pictures because we went to the Parthenon several years back, about 7 years ago, actually, exactly almost. So I'm going to put them in the chat too for you, Russi.
Yep, we've been here for a while, doing the same thing over and over again. Each reset different.
Exactly. And it's like, do you ever picture yourself going in there again? It's so funny because we always go back to that, Jupiter ascending and how she had to go claim herself. And then she's like, I'll never complain about DMV. It's the funniest process. And it's basically what you're doing.
That's funny. I sent that out this morning. You have to go here. You have to go there. We don't do that here.
Then he gets sabotaged, right? And he has to pay money like under the table to make sure he gets through the next section. It's like, you don't have a number. It's such a great scene.
It is crazy. Every time I go somewhere, I'm like, okay, because I sometimes I need guide. I need a physical galactic bob to help me with my ascension process, like for real. Because
You know, we
sometimes it's like I have to think myself, and I don't want to.
Okay, Rusty, I put some pictures in there. And the one picture of the like a thorny looking bush, it was between the Parthenon and the river there, and it was very unique, and that's why I took a picture of it. Because I'm like, I've never seen a thorny, curvy, thorny bush like this. It kind of reminded me of Sleeping Beauty when the queen did all those thorns, made that wall of thorns. Is what it reminded me of.
oh my God, these pictures are great. So, you know, this is the reason why I want to know, why does Mary have to go to that exact place? And I'm
Well,
glad that
and
you
that's
put that
I was
Parthenon.
talking to her about this morning. Was because that's Baal's court, and his face is on it. So I'm
Right.
literally calling out the god of this world, Beelzebub.
Okay. Because you know how, like you said, how all the birth certificates are in New York. Obviously, there's a reason for that. I'm just curious, like,
Right.
obviously this too. And that's why this Parthenon, like, building has to be from those time periods. And that's why he was there. Bell, that is.
Yeah. Well, and our entitlements are in South Africa, so they have our stuff scattered all over the place.
Which is interesting because South Africa has all those L, like the EL in their names. I don't know a lot about that. I only know that a lot of the ritualized kids are coming out of there and they're have an L in their name. There's also diamonds in
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say, I was thinking about it because I didn't want to say it. Last time I tried to talk about it, the video wouldn't even save. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, there's AEL and there's EL at their last names. There's actually a few sequences of the different types of angels. Like Adam and Eve's father, Elohim, he's an angel of death. That means they're part of the angel of death stuff.
Well, you just got the Ten of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Wands came out at once, Mary. So you're good. You're golden.
Yay! So yeah, so on my webpage I'm gonna start putting the angel posters on the VIP section of it so members can download them. I was gonna do a conference. I think there's going to be things that are happening so fast I'm not going to be able to do the conference, but I feel like the timelines are crunching with me right now because King Charles is supposed to come back out in July to surrender to Trump, I guess. That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. But to me, those are timelines that I have to meet, and that's kind of how I get my, I guess, symbolism.
That's exactly the 60 days, by the way. You're on that week.
Oh, am I? That's funny.
That's
Yeah, right
hilarious.
to a T, right to a T. But yeah, Mary, you have
Yeah.
it exactly on that. It's confirmed from the clerk on May 5th. So you're talking about a day after. Those are the 60 days.
Yeah. Well, again,
July
I'm still
4th.
waiting for the transfer
July
of
4th.
judgment because that will be, I'm gonna say, the anchor. That'll be what anchors everything in. It's an indisputable final judgment, but there's controversy right now going on with the judge that she wants to deny. But I don't think the heavens are gonna allow it. And if they do, they do. I don't not gonna know what to do at that point. But that's all on the heavens. I can't go in there and force their hand if when it happens. Hopefully, she chooses everything right.
That's very
But
cool.
I do get leery sometimes, especially with all the
Yeah.
resistance that I've had. I'm very always skeptical about everything.
But you're going to be busy with trying to, I'm going to refer back to and circling back to the pictures, or at least the posters, unless you're going to make them cards of the angels as a restructuring of educating exactly what's going on. Since you said you put that in a book. So I was looking at them like really in detail last night and the 2 nights before on all the, listings of the 72 angels, which I think there's a discrepancy in there because I think it goes up to a certain number and then it skips right to 52. I think the 40s are missing. So you're missing 12 angels in that thing. So, yeah, I'm wondering, are you
And it
going?
might sometimes some of the fallen aren't gonna ascend. They're choosing not to. Because I go in there and I'll try to fix that and it won't fit. Like someone like Azazel, Zaziel, he's going to ascend into a prison in Jupiter. Even though he's in there, what he was and what he could be, he's choosing not to, but he's choosing to take the prison because anybody that gets left here, doesn't matter if they're immortal or not, when the Earth does her ascension, she's turning into molten lava, and nothing will survive it. The final judgment is whatever happens to their souls. So, or spirits. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but they're not all going to be on board. So the ones that won't show the name, I think that they chose the other path because they've gotten away with it for so long. They don't think that would ever happen.
No, the L, from what I know, it's like the Gabriel, Azazel, and the L, just the L itself. It's it's like a square, like
It's not a
wheels within
square
wheels.
anymore.
It's
The
not,
square
right?
was for the 3D, no. So going into the 5D, to ascend, and I've talked about it in the Masonic, the Mason versus the Source ascension. Any secret society, in order to ascend, they have to come public, and the ascension or descension symbol is the triangle. The Source key sigil that I have is the ascension one with the missing numbers that all the secret society books talk about, knowing that it's incomplete. I have the complete numbers now. So names are being restored with the fallen angels, the lost angels, the missing angels, the dark angels. I even found out that the jinn are a certain type of void angel. So I didn't know that about them, but I didn't like them enough to really care at the time. Knowing their story differently, that's part of the ascension is, knowledge is power. So when you learn what it really is and not what they've known, but each dimension has had different types of information. So if we're in the third dimension, there was a second and a first dimension, and they had pieces. It's all pieces of a puzzle. So before we can go into the eighth dimension, there'll be other codes. It just keeps growing because we learn, the gods learn, we all learn. So that's what they mean by collective ascension. That's why I tell people stay open-minded because the information is going to change to what they knew in the forbidden books. Then you can't ascend. You'll stay in the 3D because that's considered past history, if that makes sense.
So therefore, everything changes, like the Fibonacci, the golden mean, even the Truman.
Well, even the Fibonacci code changed when I added the other ones. I've already done the Fibonacci codes.
Right?
So,
And that it has that 4 missing. It's like the cube, the format, the form. Because when you do the 1 plus 1, it'll give you 2, 2 plus 8, it'll give you 3. But why is the 4 skipped in the prime numbers? That's why it's like it's a box. It's a box of time. Just
it's
me
just a
thinking
piece
out loud.
of the original triangle because the triangle, the sigil, that has the celestial mathematical codes in it, has the stars, it has the different levels of triangles, it has the boxes. It has everything. So again, in the third dimension, in the first dimension, it was the small triangles, like the Native Americans have on their belts and stuff, the up and the down, meaning heaven and earth. So that was like more of the second dimension information that they had, but they were the small triangles. They weren't the huge pyramids, even though the pyramids were here. They were represented as, the second dimensional frequencies. And then when the square was discovered, it was merging the triangles to become the square. That was the third dimension. And all the pictures in there are because they do have the squares, the circles. The circles were in the first dimension. The triangles came in the second, and then the triangles and the squares came in the third with the circles. And now for the going into the fifth dimension, it'll be all of it enhanced into the triangle because it's the missing codes that they didn't have before. But that's what happens. And then again, we're going to be missing the eighth dimension codes, which will be another, 2600 year of an ascension mess of people putting things together. But it won't be so colluded or hidden. Everybody will be able to ascend in their own time and own way. Even the secret societies, the ones that didn't trespass against souls.
From David Icke, like the main purpose, I'm gonna read it out. Main purpose to speak the truth is satanic law is so that they can avoid karmic retribution If they tell the world the truth and nobody objects, then they have been given consent to continue with all
Correct.
this dark people. Yeah.
Right.
I saw this in June. I'm like, I wrote that in June, but I thought that was important for this week.
Yeah, and again, when I brought that out, the source versus the Masonic, and again, everybody starts off in the Masonic levels, unless you're like your family is really hardcore into like the Templars or the Jesuits. Everybody kind of starts, and Masons are like the high school of the secret societies. And then again, the amount of that we're supposed to die are not dying anymore. It was like 8.5 billion people or whatever, 9 billion, whatever you want to call it. I just put the 8.5 in. If 10% of the world's population right now are going to pass away because they can't ascend into the next, crystalline body because they're lower frequencies, or they just refuse to let go of the 3D, that still leaves the world at 7.650 billion people. I was shown that I put 70%, even though it said like 63 to 70% of the people that don't belong to this earth will go back home to their own planets, quadrants and galaxies. So that'll be about 5.355 billion people leaving the planet. So the ascension is going to happen rather quickly once it's accepted. And it seems to be that we're on that path. So that many people are going to leave. Now, the amount of people that are staying, but not staying in Earth while she goes through her transition, where it's going to be like outside, either on the moon or Mars, or literally floating on the outside of the planet, is 2.295 billion people. Now, I calculate that because of what I was told, is because I have the history books for the next 700 years of Earth, and it's transition. And I was in Tartaria 3, which is Earth's future, and there was only 1.3 million people living on a megaplanet, very isolated under the rule of Asiatica, which were the Asians. They did take over. I have the names of the future, presiding, whatever they want to call themselves. I don't remember their titles. But I was given the future books because that was the future that needed to change, because a mega Earth needs more people on it, because we're frequencies and we're moving. We're the ones that actually allow the Earth to create in its way, because if there's nothing on the Earth, that's why you see so many deserts in so many parts of the world, is because there's really nothing there. There's some kind of desert animals, but there's no humans. And we are connected to the earth and the celestials, so we're the ones that actually move the grids and the energies of the earth. So if you go into a desert, that's why springs pop up, because there's life there, and the earth reacts to those people living there. So here comes water. Water does what? It feeds whatever seeds that you might be carrying, and that's why a lot of forests will grow in 40 years, because somebody will take seeds out and water will be found, because the earth follows our energy and we follow her energy. So to isolate so few people and not allow them to actually, it was very, very communist, very controlled. More than likely they had the chips in the brains, and the breeding process was similar to what they talked about on the Superman, why he left, because the same people were being born over and over again. And it was a select few that actually got to reincarnate. Anybody that was found, becoming with child with a new frequency, that child was put to death, and so was the person. So, but yeah, it was a very, very dark future for Earth.
Which Superman are you talking about? The most recent Superman?
I can find it. I'm a Superman buff, but I can't remember exactly which maybe showed that. It showed his home planet and the politics of that planet, and how they put the DNA. He was taking the DNA with him so he could save the species.
Like Man of Steel. It's the remakes of Superman, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The S, within the diamond, then
The S series of angels was a very difficult energy to transmute into restoration. Again, they all have a chance to ascend. There's a few that won't ascend.
I'm going to circle back. It's Man of Steel, the 2013. because I'm like, I don't
Yep.
remember that part, but it's in that movie. Russell
Mm.
Crowe is in that movie.
Russell Crowe. Yeah.
Yes.
See, I'm a movie buff with that, but I don't remember that one as well as I remember all the older ones because I'm old.
You should tell him about that show, Wanla.
I did. You got to watch it. I finally got Shannon to
Me.
watch it. It's very telling. It talks about a whole planetary reset.
Yeah, I'm at the part where he's discovered that particular clone is it Eva 8 or Eva 9? Eva 9, the completed one. She can talk to the animals. She has telepathy, and so he's wanting to find where all the animals are. So he wants to use her for that because their world is dying.
Right, and they're connected to the source.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I want to give it away because I could totally give it away, but I don't want to give it away. But I now know how the humans survived so long to bring in another source. Fallen angels, demonic kings, distorted powers, exorcised name, shadow transmuted, discretion restored as transformation. The shadow and the return healed and reintegrated. Yeah, because I had to, in order for them to heal, angel. Yeah, so I did all different types of angel posters, which had all the names on it. A lot of them do have the EL, the IEL, the AEL. It tells you what the meanings are, what their purposes were, what they were in the 3D as opposed to what they will be in the 5D. So I was told it was safe to put their names out there, but every individual is gonna choose how to use these angels. Because I talked about it a couple of years ago. When we're born, we're given access to all of the angels. We're the ones that turn them into the demons. You can choose to use them for their demonic behaviors in order to become selfish, greedy, or stuff like that. And it doesn't matter if we're not those people, the society we live in allows it to happen. And again, it could be as innocent as you getting a job, not realizing the person who had worked there their whole life needed that job to like save their dying mother because they would have gotten better insurance or something. But nobody knows that, right? But we should know that. We shouldn't just say, oh, there's a job I'm going to apply for and I'm overqualified, so I'm going to apply for it, knocking that other person out. And then their mom dies because that's what they call the ripple effect. When you throw a stone into the water, the ripple effect goes in all different directions. So everything that we do has consequences, whether it's good or bad. But in the 5D, we'll be able to manifest, not just protection for ourselves, but for those that journey with us in these different realms. So the fallen, the healed, the redeemed, shadows return to light, powers restored to purpose, all things reconciled. So spirit, love, living light. But again, I have to give what they did in the 3D that made them so bad, that gave them the bad reputations, so that people would understand that they still get to ascend. Because again, we've all done bad things. Not some worse than others. I'm not saying that anybody is not innocent in anything, but creator and creation don't want to destroy any of their creations, especially if they can be redeemed. So the fallen, the lost, they can all be redeemed. So we're all going to ascend into the 5D together. And then you'll learn their names, so you guys can learn how to use the manifestation powers of it to make your lives better. But remember, it comes with consequences if you use it in the wrong way. So, but again, that's everybody's choice. I don't gotta tell you. If you don't listen, then you find out. Lessons are there to be learned, whether they're easy or hard.
Can I refer to the pictures that were created from you? Will you be doing something like that just for, to go through all the posters?
You mean showing people how to do it? Yeah, so you know how, because this is based off of like what I have to do. So in the forbidden knowledge, the reason that they bring certain people into, these societies, the secret society stuff, even if you don't take an oath, I mean, they've dragged me left and right, to do things and to see things, and they made it seem like protecting, our country, humankind, they'll use any excuse. With what I have, remember, what's a good movie? Okay, so Atlantis, the cartoon where all the Atlanteans had a crystal necklace, and that was
Right.
their source to like harness this particular energy, and without it, they would die. So that's kind of what is going to happen. So again, they had this technology before, and what I have is the source codes And everybody, when it's time for them to ascend, you're not going to get it before that. I guarantee you. If you try to push it, you're going to put these invisible energy concrete bricks on your feet, and you're going to fall further down into the 3D. It's not I'm going to get a hold of this crystal, because if it's given to you by the heavens, it's made for you. Nobody else can wield it. And they can hold it. They can't do anything with it. It'll malfunction. And everything that they put it towards will malfunction, because it's your connection to your creator, whoever that is. I am connected to the Creator God Council for this planet and the Prime Fates, who take orders from Creator. I don't talk directly to him. I get it from the other one. I do communicate with creation, in parts here and there when something big is about to happen. This is what I had to do. The heavens told me I had to free the angels, and I had to introduce you guys back to all the angels. It's not just like the 20 angels that are mentioned in the Bible. There's so many. There's like 300 pages of them. And they all do similar but different things. And the crystal, whether that's the energy that you have to harness, or like I think Shannon and I were just talking about another individual this morning, that they're almost there to get theirs, but it's not a crystal. It's an an elemental energy for that person, but it'll have the same, I would say, celestial map on it, because their ascension is different. Everybody has a piece, but everybody needs the same map in order to bring the pieces back together. But how you do it will be different. So certain rituals will resonate with some, because those people would be part of the crystalline people. Mine's in a crystal, but I know other people's aren't going to be in a crystal. It might be in a ruby, it might be, and it just depends on what your mineral is. Well, we all have different minerals, but what your main mineral is. Some will wear it in gold, some will wear it in like white gold or silver.
Right, because that one size fits all that is programming. So it is, everybody is
Right.
individual, so it should be individual.
Yeah, so like I just want to, I'm just clarifying it for people who actually listen and stuff, because those maps, all those pictures, first of all, they're amazing to me. I love all that creation and stuff like that. And so there are things that would resonate with them as they get, they look at it, and then they would take their own, because obviously you can only save yourself. And that's what my question was. These maps are for you, but there's also a second map for you, or at least whatever you're going through has your own signature makeup. That's how I'm seeing it.
Correct. But everybody, like you're taking what you resonate with from those maps. You would take what you resonate with and you would create your maps. And then from there, I don't know what that's called, but that's the connection. Like it starts with one and then it spreads out. The light spreads out through us individually when it's time. And that's how everybody gets brought back together. Because we fell together, we have to ascend together. And I know a lot of people will argue with me that they didn't fall, that they came here to help out. So, but however it resonates, everybody got stuck here. And if you did come to help out and you got stuck in the loop of things, then, or if you didn't get stuck in the loop, I don't know. Everybody's got a different contract. Some people are like, hoorah, and leaving their body behind. Jump off. They're like, well, my job's done. I'm not needed anymore. And then there they go. So, yeah, the 12 that are missing on one map might show up incidentally on another one. Because maybe when they fell, they didn't belong in that area, and their real name is something else. But they were given that name because the angels did that too. I mean, Revelations 22:16. What was Lucifer's name before he fell? Because the language has changed, and I did find there's the 70 or the 90 names of Metatron. So with each different language, Metatron affected people differently. And they just kept that as his name instead of saying, the description of it. So that's also in there. Well, it'll be in the book. I don't think that I did a map on the Metatron names.
Well, basically everybody has to save themselves.
Right. So, but these are maps that help them do that. Because again, we all have the different eyes to see the different things. And, like with the AI, when you and I were doing the AI art, and we would make the same we would have the same description, but the picture would come out completely different because it's going off of our energy.
Yeah. This is when I would be like, how'd you do that? Mine came out weird.
So these maps are meant to enhance for each hand that it goes through. I'm not supposed to be out there as a big, individual right now. I'm only supposed to talk to bring in the people that need to hear me. Some people call me crazy, some people, all these other call me a scammer or something like that is because they're so embedded in the 3D that they can't hear what's happening because it's not their time. Everybody has a time. Everything starts from the 0 point, and once you take that first step, that's the step of your ascension. And then you can fall backwards, you could go forward, and again, we've talked about that too. And it is everybody's own ascension, but collectively it can be done in peace or it can be done in destruction. It doesn't matter. It takes us to choose it. It might seem like there's a lot of sleepers out there, but there's really not. There's just a lot of people afraid to talk because they're still stuck in the 3D where they're going to die if they say something. Or, somebody's going to come, Mr. Smith's going to come and take them out or something.
Yeah, well, that's the this week's reports on all the disclosing of the other worlds was actually this week.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, because it's that's like one of the big things. Obviously, they just released it. I don't know, yesterday or the day before, and one of the more I guess balanced individuals, which I think he's pretty balanced, Tim Burchett. He was on Rogan, and you know how Rogan is. He has to like start bringing out the information to people. So, yeah, interesting. I don't listen to them all the time, but only in certain ones. But yeah, the big thing
Right.
is it's under the government papers that you can go look it up. But it's the same nonsense. Like I refuse to look at it because it's the same flying tic-tac, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. I'm so done with it. So I'll only get my own impressions. But I know it's definitely the next step to more information that people are going to be like, with their mouths open saying, oh my God, is this true?
Right.
So everything right now is in
Question.
perfect timing. Perfect timing, I really believe. And obviously, the 60 days is a big countdown. I think, well, actually, I feel and know in my heart that it'll be a real serious 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Press like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. And don't forget to watch this video.